I walk in and I see Benny Safdie across the office of all places, of all times. I see him and I'm like, oh my God.
Sometimes these AI emails I find are difficult. Are you sensitive to tailoring it to the exact person and not just a general email and then press, schedule and send?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think you want to personalize it as much as you can. I mean, ideally, when you're doing like high volume and like trying to really like reach out to people, it's a pro and a con. Like it depends how, like if it's your favorite producer in the world and you die to work with them, for example, I tend to recommend to people really sit and think, how would I get this person's attention like no matter what? Sometimes that's not even email. Sometimes that's not even online at all. Sometimes that's, hey, this person has an office and I would like to write them a letter, a handwritten letter. I'll never forget when I was like 20, I think it was. I was young and I took a spontaneous flight to New York. And I can't even remember why I wanted to go there. I remember I saw Casey Neistat, who's like a YouTuber.
Oh, yeah.
And that was like my first kind of real introduction to like New York life. And I was like, wow, it'd be so cool to go see New York. So I bought a ticket that day and went on a Facebook group and asked if somebody would let me crash on their couch. It was like a couch surfing community.
Okay.
This doctor said yes in Harlem, this like older woman, and I crashed on her couch for a week and we became friends and it was awesome. Her and her roommate, and it was like this weird little community. But anyways, long story short, I went to New York with a mission. I wanted to tell the Safdie brothers that I loved their movie Good Time. I watched Good Time and it like changed my life as an early 20s person. And I very easily could have tried to track down their email and just sent a random like, hey, I'm a fan or whatever, you guys did a good job. But I knew that wouldn't work. And I asked myself again, like the smallest little win that I'm looking for, how can I match that with like the biggest amount of effort? And to me, that was flying to New York to literally go hand deliver a letter to them. And I don't even know if I should be talking about this part, but I went to go to their office. I like looked online, tried to find their office, whatever, found an address and then showed up and I was like, this is definitely an apartment. I'm not gonna go into this place. And I was like, all right. And I was like, dang, I came all the way to New York. I have this handwritten letter in my hand. I want to give it to them. So I ended up going to, I realized A24 has an office there and I was like, I guess I'll leave it at their front desk. I go, to their office. I'm walking. It's a summer heat. For some reason, I'm in like it's not even real fur, but it's like a giant puffy jacket. I don't know why I was wearing that. Like, I thought I was gonna step out, just deliver this letter, and like look funny, and then go home. But after the failure, I was just like sweating in this giant jacket. I show up to A24's office, and just to get a little like backstory on this. When A24 wasn't like a real like cult company, like they were just kind of on the come up, and I found some of their movies. I was like, I love this company so much. I made this, they weren't selling merch at the time, so I made a shirt that said A24. And I must have known subconsciously that I was wearing it, but I really swear did not realize I happened to be wearing this A24 shirt that day under this coat. So I walk into the office, I'm sweating. I take off this jacket, and the security guy's like, oh, A24? I'm like, yeah. And he puts in the code or whatever to the key. I'm going up in the elevator. I'm like, wait a minute. Am I going to like inside the A24 office? I was like, I wasn't really trying to do that, but the elevator opens and it's like this open air office. It's the A24 office. And I walk in and I see Benny Safdie across the office of all places, of all times. I see him and I'm like, oh my God, this is like, I came to New York to hand deliver this letter. And at this point I'm feeling insane and I'm like, okay, let me not look like a serial killer. And so I walk up and the front desk person's like, hey, who do you have a meeting with? And I was like, I'm gonna be honest, nobody. This is crazy. I know I'm sweating profusely right now, but I came here to New York to deliver a letter to the Safdie brothers. Benny's right over there. Do you mind if I just hand him the letter? And she's like, No. I was like, damn it. And I was like, all right, fair enough. You got me. Can you please just give it to him? And she's like, yeah, okay. And I go down the elevator. I'm walking out into the streets. I'm like, oh, I failed my mission. Like, there's no way that's getting through. And so I'm going back to JFK, going back to the airport to fly back to LA in complete defeat. And I look at my phone. And I don't get an email from Benny, but I get an email from Josh Safdie, his brother, the duo.
Right.
And he was like, hey, Pedro, like, thanks so much for like the rad letter, blah, blah, blah. It's so cool what you're sounding, what you're doing. And I would love to keep in touch and see your work. And I was like, it was like everything to me at the time. Of course, I haven't worked with them, but nonetheless, I think it was like a really like impactful moment in my life to be like, wow, like if you set a ridiculous enough goal and really just put maximum effort, that's creative effort, into kind of outreach, you can get through to anybody. You just have to be creative enough. So that's my effort.
What a great story. Yeah, I mean, I guess the end goal wasn't fully met, but in a way it was part of that rejection therapy. Had you read that book before that?
No, I just had been living it.
Right.
I had just been rejected a lot.
Yeah, so now you knew they were going to write it.
Yeah. And really the end goal too isn't necessarily like the end all be all point either, where it's like, that doesn't matter. That showed me just what was possible of being like, wow, this was before I made my first feature film. And it really showed me where I was like, these people that you admire, they're not in this like ethos that's untouchable. They're just normal people. And once you kind of get further in your career, you get people reaching out to you and you see how many times it's just like, hey, Pedro, would love to work with you one day. It's like, well, did you even watch my thing? And like, I don't know. Did you sweat in a pseudo fur jacket in New York to get this message across? And then other people will write me crazy letters or, like crazy nice letters, I mean. And I don't know, some people draw stuff and it's like, wow, like I see that there was effort. There was maximum creative effort into this and that gets people's attention. So again, that goes back to outreach. That goes back to just the pitch of your movie, whether it's a concept trailer, whether you buy a billboard or something, I don't know, having kind of maximum creative effort goes a long way. Yeah.
Did you see My Salinger Years with Margaret Qualley?
I haven't actually.
Okay, so it's based on a book about a woman who worked for this publishing house, and J.D. Salinger was their biggest client, and her job was to answer the letters that came in because people they just worshipped him. They felt that they had such a connection with the story, and so she would answer them. That was her job, and so some of the people didn't necessarily take the letters in the right way. They just really had their own mindset, but it just kind of reminds me of that when something really stays with you and you just feel so drawn to it that you just want to reach out to the creator. But I think that's a great story. I mean, maybe you could turn that into a movie one day, but I'm sure you've already thought about that.
Yes, exactly. I think the key point too is to bounce off what you're saying is like that whatever everyone else is doing, just do the opposite sometimes. That there's sometimes validity into that. Sometimes it won't work. Sometimes you need to find an adjacent opposite, but people notice a break in the pattern. So
when you flew back, what was your mood on the plane?
That was all I wanted.
Check on you?
I just wanted, I just wanted to know I existed, and that. I mean, not to sound corny, that anything's possible. Whatever you want to go after is obtainable, and that, I didn't end up working with him or anything. I was 20. I didn't even write a feature at that point, really. I was like writing a feature for the first time. But I think the world works in mysterious ways, and I think that's an important lesson as like a young person, or not even a young person, people young in the rejection journey to realize, because you can get 1,000 rejections and it'll feel like 1,000,000, but you get one yes and all of a sudden that feels like 1,000,000,000,000.
Thank you for watching the video all the way to the end. Here is a complimentary question from our book Story Questions.